Hey, I'm Dr. Z and I'm a neurosurgeon. So that means long hours, early rounds, late nights, and everything in between. And through it all, I wear figs. Because they're built for what I do. Through the chaos, through the hours, and through whatever the day throws at me, they do their job so I can do mine. They're comfortable when it counts and functional when I need them the most. So where do you wear your figs? On shift, on call, on the couch in the break room, listening to this podcast, wherever it is, they fit right in. And now listeners of this podcast can get 15% off their first order. Just head to wearfigs.com and use code FIGSRX at checkout. That's wearfigs.com, code FIGSRX.
Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, a safe and sacred place to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to be authentic. I am your host, Tisha Michelle. From the deep pain and loss of my best friend Gloria, I realized she gave me the greatest gift ever, remembering my purpose in life, which is to help connect you to your authentic self, guide you to remember your purpose, and remind you that your current circumstance doesn't define who you are. Join me as we heal, align, and glow together. Welcome to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul. For those that are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, Tisha Michelle. Around here, I like to share my experiences, as I personally believe that experience is the greatest teacher and that we teach what we most need to know. So my intentions are to help guide you along in life and also remind you to speak and live your own truth. So let's get started. All right, so let's express some gratitude. And in this present moment, I would say that I am grateful for my hair journey. Yep, so it's been, I want to say, almost 5 years since I've been natural. And when I say natural, meaning like no perms, like no chemicals in my hair. And I had actually cut it all off. So I had dyed it and I had cut it. And then from that point, I said, you know what, I'm going to let the color, come out, and I'm not going to put any more perms or anything, and I'm just going to just grow my hair just naturally. And then I started wearing protective styles to really just like protect my hair. And has been such an amazing journey. So whenever I go and get it done and just get it washed and and trimmed, just to see the transformation and how healthy my hair has been since I stopped putting the toxic and the chemicals in it, I'm just like, oh my God, it's so amazing. So the reason why I'm super grateful for that is because I get to look at that it's been a journey. It's been a journey of all the toxics, like when I say toxic, meaning like the chemicals, the different perms, or even going to get my hair braided, by like the Africans, and they braid very tight, but braiding so tight on thin hair that like edges were like coming out. So I really just wasn't taking care of my hair. It may look good, the style and everything that I've gone through, but it wasn't healthy for me at all. So to step back and look and say, I made a decision to say, you know what, I need to get my hair healthy. So I'm going to make sure that I'm taking care of it and stop putting like the toxic chemicals and stuff into my hair, and to see how healthy it is now. And even if my hair is braided and it's been braided for like a month or so, and then I go to, take it out, my hair is so soft, where before it would be thick and I'd just be like, oh my God, and yanking on my hair, but it's just so soft. And that's because I removed all the toxic chemicals. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to go natural. So imagine if you do that in other areas in your life. You start to remove what's toxic, remove what may look good on the outside, but on the inside it's like, what the fuck, right? So this is why I really say that I'm grateful for that journey, because I've been sticking with it. And I've been saying, nope. I'm going to take care of my hair because I want it to be healthy. So now I want to start applying that into other areas of my life too. It's like where you scan your life and you look and see like what's toxic. What are you putting in, or what are you receiving that you know is not good for you? And what will life be like if you remove those things? Guess what? It's your turn now. Unless you guys are driving, go ahead and close your eyes. Let's just get a little centered, Let's relax a little bit. All right, so now I want you to go ahead and take a nice deep breath and just breathe in through your nose. And and out through your mouth. Another one, a nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose. And out through your mouth. That feels good, right? All right, let's just do one more. Nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose. And out through your mouth. All right, so what are you guys grateful for? In this present moment, what are you grateful for? I know some of you like to journal, so go ahead and hit that pause button and go ahead and journal away. Some of you may say it out loud. Some may say it in your head. Whatever, just express it, just get it out. What are you grateful for? Really scan your life and really think about it. Not only what are you grateful for, but why are you grateful for it? What has that taught you? Okay. All right. Okay, so this episode is sponsored by a Manifesting Mind, which is a master class that I'm going to be co-teaching next month. And if you were to click the link in my bio on IG at Mindset Slayer, you can get some more information over there. All right, guys. All right, so in today's episode, I have a guest with me. So I had the pleasure of sitting down with Denise of Pretty Lovely You and Confidently You. So not only is Denise a survivor, why come I have a hard time saying that? Survivor of breast implant illness. She's also, I like to say, a thriver in life. But through Denise's experiences that she shares with me, she really taps into the importance of trusting your body, listening to that inner voice, and how do I say this? Like how dealing with like the internal can definitely help with the external. So I want you guys to join in the conversation with Denise from Pretty Lovely You.
Okay, so welcome to Seeing With You. So I'm so excited to have you on here.
I'm excited to be on here. I feel so honored, blessed. I'm not sure what the words are that we connected.
Me too. All right, so around here, I always like to get started by expressing gratitude. So I'm going to start with a question for you. In this present moment, what are you grateful for?
In this present moment, I am grateful for feeling good, my health.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we take a lot of things for granted, when it comes to like our health, or even just like feeling good. It's just like, whatever. We don't even really know how we actually feel, right? Until we stop and think about it. So yeah, I love that. So I think it was interesting, like how we got connected, right? So when I seen Vanessa, I was looking, you're on Instagram and you're looking at stories, and I seen this story and it said something like, are there any podcasters out there looking for guests? And said a whole bunch of stuff. But what stood out was, she had this fantastic person who healed herself. And I was like, wait, what? Instantly, responded. I'm like, who is this? And where did she heal herself from? So around here on Seeing With You, so we talk about, a lot of that. And I'm always talking about how we were actually designed to heal ourselves, and that everything on the outside is a manifestation of what's going on the inside. And
absolutely,
how important it is for us to go within, so we are able to, really truly heal ourselves. And we hear all these different stories. I know I have, like, all over the world of people, healing themselves. And a lot of times people really think that it's just that, oh, I'm now fine, I feel great, and like that's it. So they don't believe that you can actually heal yourself, because they don't really take enough, I guess, maybe like time to really like look into that. What does that actually mean? What does healing actually mean? And understanding the different layers and stuff. So having that conversation with you, sharing your story, I'm like, man, my listeners need to hear this. So with all that being said, like, let's just get right into it. So where do we start? Let's start from the beginning.
It's funny.
Yeah. Start from the beginning.
So I was sick for a really long time, probably since 2008. It started with migraines, and I didn't know why. I was getting ill all the time, constantly at the doctors, didn't know why. And can I share why I know now? Are you?
Yeah, for sure.
So
but I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Was this like your first time having an experience of having a migraine?
Yes. Yes. I had
Okay.
never had it.
That it was something off.
Yeah, I had never experienced it before, and it was so bad that I woke up that morning and I called my colleague. I was living in the Cayman Islands, and I called my colleague, and I'm like, someone needs to come get me and get me to the emergency room now. And it just kept getting worse by the second, and I crawled into the back seat of his car, and he kept pulling over because I was ill the whole way there, and they gave me anti-inflammatory and pain shots, and after a little bit I was fine. And I was like, what happened? And they're like, you had a migraine. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, it happens. And I'm like, no, it doesn't just happen. But it kept happening. So then I was on a lot of medication for the migraines, because I went from, once every couple months to once a month to once a week. And until just a few years ago, it was every day. And yeah, so it was bad, and just strange things kept happening like that. And I kept asking, why? Why is this happening to my body with no explanation? They were testing me for things like Crohn's and all sorts of colitis. They were testing my carotid artery. They, checking my heart because I was having chest pains. It got to the point of being so bad with migraines, my face was drooping and I looked like I was having a stroke. So they tested me for stroke. They tested me for MS. And it kept coming up that I didn't have any of these things. And then in 2000, this is all along the path of the journey up until a few years ago, but in 2011, 12, my gallbladder went bad for no reason. And I had no stones. And I'm like, why? And they had to remove it. And they're like, we don't know why. And it was the same thing all over again. And my body was just in constant fight, and things were going wrong with no explanation. I was continuously at the doctor. Come to find out, in 2006, I had gotten breast implants. And in 2008 is when the first migraine hit. But I had noticed right after I got the implants and I had moved to the islands, and I couldn't take a deep breath of air. If I went running, I could not fill my lungs full of air. And I just blamed it on maybe it was just really humid there, and I stopped running. So it was just little strange things along the way. I was going for massages all the time, back pain, neck pain. At one point, I couldn't even move my neck. I couldn't move part of my hand at one point. It was constant, no reason for it. And except I did find out that it was the implants, which I had them taken out in 2019. And just before that is when I had started down the healing journey. Somebody had sent me.
Well, hold on. Before you go into that part. So
Okay.
How did you find out that it was the implant? So 2006, you had a couple of these things that you just brushed them off to something else. 2008, then the migraines kick in, and you're having all these other things and getting tested for everything, but everybody is saying, no, it's not this, no, it's not that. So actually, I got two questions before we go into that. One, what was your psyche like at that time with you having all these things that everybody's saying nothing's wrong? And then the second,
go ahead.
And the second part is, how did you find out that it was? How did you come to the realization that it was the breast implant?
So honestly, along the way, I felt like my body was broken. Like something was broken. It wasn't normal. Everybody kept telling me it was stress. So I kept trying to do things to de-stress. And even if I would do that, it was still there. So it didn't make any sense to me. And part of my personality, I'm very driven. I like to keep going. If I'm not, then I'm less happy probably. So for me to do things, to accomplish things, to stay busy, I enjoy it. So to not be that way was taking away part of my enjoyment. And so, yeah, in the beginning, it was just one of those things where you kind of blame age. I had actually said when I hit 40 that I literally felt like I turned 40 and my body collapsed. Because I was 36 when I got the implant. And that's when the gallbladder started to go bad. And they started, every time I would fix or, I had the gallbladder taken out, if I would fix something, heal something, the pain or whatever it was would shift somewhere else in my body. It was like, it was telling me, and I didn't realize it, you didn't fix the problem. I'm going somewhere else and I'm going to scream a little louder over here. And so part of me was feeling like I was going out of my mind, especially as I came towards where where I was before I figured it out, because it was every day with no explanation. I knew if I didn't find answers, I would be on disability, because I was getting to the point where it was very hard to function. I wasn't doing the things I enjoyed anymore. I wasn't going out anymore because I would always have to cancel. Yeah, if I wasn't working my job, which took every ounce of my being, I was curled up in bed. So I had gone through, and this is part of how I figured it out. Right before I did a 3-month immersion program into healing my gut and my mind and my spiritual energy, all of that. And
what led you to say, what led you to that? What led you to say, hey, I'm going to go do this?
You know, if you had asked me a few years ago about all of this stuff, I mean, I was kind of dabbling in it. To me, it was just something to help alleviate. It wasn't something to look for a root cause. But somebody had told me about, it's called the Curable app. And it was actually a woman, and one of her students was one of the people who created it. And so she shared about it with me, and I was like, at this point, I'm desperate because I've done everything. So I was like, okay. And I'd heard about it. I dismissed it, and I got it on my phone, and I started, listening to it. And the more they talked about how pain manifests from different things in your body, I'm like, makes a lot of sense, but it wasn't enough. I'm like, I have to go deeper. Like, it was almost like surface cleaning for me. I needed to go in deeper. I was doing, I did a radical forgiveness workshop, and I cried for 3 days after that. And I started to, kind of go into myself as to the traumas that had happened in my life that I had suppressed. And so I was like, I had heard about a woman who on Facebook worked with people with migraines. And in my opinion, this is all it was. I just had migraine disease, and nothing else was related to it. Nothing else that I had gone through. It was just the migraine disease. Because at this point, my immune system wasn't detectable anymore. I was losing my hair. I went through this program. She cleared my gut, my mind. I went into all sorts of therapies. I did hypnotherapy, talk therapy. I was doing neurofeedback. There were so many different things I was trying just to see if something would help. And she did, she checked into my minerals, and she's like, this is strange. Your calcium is really high. Your body's hoarding it. Magnesium low. This is going to cause your kidneys problems. And I went, what? And my liver enzymes were all over the place, and none of it really made a whole lot of sense. We did get a lot of it a little bit better. By the time I was done with the program, I wasn't having the migraines every day anymore. So I was happy. I wasn't having migraines. I'm healed. I thought it was cured. So it was about a month later, and I was at Vanessa's event, and that was the first time. I'd had anxiety attacks before, but I literally was going into a manic mode, and I thought I was on top of the world, and I could do 5 million things at once that would not be humanly possible. And I remember calling a friend because I stopped at the store on my way home, and I'm like, something is wrong with me. This is not normal. And I'm like, I'm not in pain, but my body is like, it's at this heightened state. And they're like, you should just enjoy that. And I'm like, no, something's wrong. And within a few weeks, pain started creeping back in. And I remember one day I was sitting in the parking lot at Publix, and I sat in my car, and I just kept asking myself over and over and over. And I'm like, what's still toxic in me? Because I had completely cleared myself, in my opinion. Like, what is still toxic? What is still toxic? And just over and over and over. And all of a sudden, it wasn't out of nowhere. I used to say it was out of nowhere, but things like this don't come to you out of nowhere. And I was like, it's the implant. And a few months back, Vanessa had shared with me about the podcast Angie Lee had done, and she shared on how she had her implants taken out, and she wanted to be healthy. And I was like, oh, good for you. That's not me. And it was me. So I Googled in my phone. Go ahead.
Sorry. Stop you real quick, because I think it's important. Like, two things I want to address. One, when you made the comment about, like, oh man, when I'm turn 40, my body was this. Like, we tend to do that. We put this age, this number, and then we say, like, oh, that's why I feel like because I'm this age. But our body was actually designed to let us know when it's not right, when something is off. That's how our body was designed to let us know. But it's easy for us to just push it off as like, oh, maybe it's too hot here, or maybe it's because I'm 40 and it can't do. But it's important to listen to your body. And I love how you talked about how it just went to another area because you weren't listening, so it got louder in another area. or the pain and the things that it caused. The second thing that I wanted to touch on was when you said you asked the question, what is toxic in my body still? And you asked it over and over and over. And when we ask these questions, we're always going to get the answer. It's just, are you open to hearing and to listening? And it dropped right in to come out of nowhere when you asked the question. And you got the answer, and it was like the breast implant. So it's another thing, it's important to ask these questions out loud to your higher power, whether it's God, universal, and whatever, you'll always get like that answer. So I just wanted to touch on those because you're right. It didn't just come out of nowhere. It was really because your body was been trying to get your attention for a while. Now that you were connected with it to say, wait a minute, there is something toxic that's in my body and I need to know what it is.
You're right. And that was kind of the beginning of me asking the questions and like getting answers. But you're right. I was at that point, I was very open to listening to what is it. And so, that was a Saturday that I sat crying in that parking lot. And 2 days later, I called surgeon's office. I called one place because I researched all, online. I got into some groups. They recommended some here in Florida, and I called one in Sarasota. Mind you, this is the beginning of March. And when I called, they said, well, there's a deposit, non-refundable deposit, but she can't even see you till October. And I'm on the phone, and all I said was, I won't make it. And I didn't even know what that meant because I didn't know what was happening to me. But I'm like, I can't live like this. I won't make it till October. And I hung up the phone and I called another surgeon. He got me in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks later, they were out. And that day, and it happens for most women right after the surgery, and some at last, they keep going forward with it. They don't have the flare up. Fortunately for me, it was temporary, but right after the surgery, you feel amazing. Like your vision is clear. Your eyes are white again. And you can breathe. Like that has stayed the same. Like you can take a deep breath of air, and it's pretty darn amazing to get oxygen into you. So the healing had started, and unfortunately for me, if I can share, I had a lift done because I went from a D, and I'm a tiny person. Like I'm not 5'4", I'm 118 pounds. At that point, when I had my surgery, I was down to 109 because I couldn't keep weight on. I was turning into just a bone. And so I'm not a big person, but I was a D, and I went to an A and less than, and he said, you should probably have a lift. And I said, okay, this is how I do mine, and use polypropylene, which through the course of my healing that year, I knew something wasn't right. In the 6-month mark, I questioned it. No, you're just having flare up, part of the healing. I'm like, I'm not buying this. So it was in earlier of 2020, I went back and he did an exam, and he said, no, I just think I don't want to do surgery again. I just think you're having flare up. We'll check you again in 6 months. And I'm like, this hurts. So 2 days later, I woke up. I could barely walk. I was in so much pain. I could just to move. My eyes were golf balls. Like they were just swollen. Like I had gone out and done shots all night, and I wasn't even drinking. So I knew exactly what it was. And because at that point I was very in tune with my body. And so I had it taken out. And since then, my body has truly started to heal, except then I went into a deeper dive because what I think a lot of people don't realize with breast implant illness is that the recovery isn't just physical, and it does take a long time because you have to get rid of the toxins that are in your body, and there's layers of toxins in the body. And a lot of times for women after this, in their second year, it can be rougher than the first because you reach a really deep layer of it. But for me, I had a lot of emotional moments through the healing, and I didn't totally understand it. I understand it more now, but because we get implants for a reason. And for me, it's because I didn't feel good about my body. I lacked confidence. And
I was going to ask you that. I was going to say, so what led you to get that anyway?
Yeah, from the time, I was the classic case of if they could have marketed to somebody, I was it. In my late teens, I was anorexic and bulimic. I never felt pretty. I never felt enough. And it wasn't that I was raised to feel that way. It was just something, whenever something was said to me, it was almost like I took on anything negative, it magnified 1,000,000 times more than something positive said to me. And I had pretty much done that my whole life. And so coming to terms with decisions that I had made, things that had happened to me, traumas along the way, I started really going deep to to find them. And what I didn't know is that as we go through the layers, as we get into the scar tissue, that there is so much emotion that is held in the healing. And the only way to release it is through emotional healing. And then your body starts to let go and it starts to heal. And then your mind starts to heal. And it all just kind of goes together. It's like, it's pretty powerful. But
it is. It definitely is. I really want our listeners to really understand that about the scar, like when you have scar tissue, of how those emotions and stuff are trapped in there. So if anyone's ever had surgery, and I don't care what part of the body, and you still felt like you have like pain there, and if you've gone back to the doctor, they'll be like, oh, that's just a scar tissue. That's just a scar tissue. And it's like, oh, it's nothing. And it's like, no, it is something, but you can't. They're like, oh, there's really nothing to do about it. It's a scar. But it is, and that's the indication for you to look within. I get pain. I had a hysterectomy, and I still get pain in these areas where I have nothing. Nothing. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not crazy. And this is before I was on this journey. And I'm like, I'm telling you what I'm feeling. And this is what they say. Oh, it's a scar tissue. It's a scar tissue. But it wasn't until I started looking into having that self-discovery and really understanding how the outside is, the manifestation from our inside. And then, digging deeper and understanding about those emotions being trapped into there. I had to look to see, well, what am I holding on to in this area? Where a big part for me, I hadn't grieved it. I hadn't grieved having a hysterectomy, knowing that I cannot have any more kids, even though I don't want any more kids, but just the idea, the idea of not being able to. So that was a big part of the pain that I was having. I was just trapped in there. I hadn't really fully accepted it, among some other, earlier childhood things and stuff that was in there. So I'm glad you came to that realization, but that you shared that. Those emotions it's important to understand that.
It is, and it's super powerful. I mean, to do only one side of it or the other side of it, to do the physical healing without the emotional, to the emotional without the physical, it's got to go hand in hand so that you do heal properly. To this day, when I go to anybody who does healing, they're like, you have a lot of grief. It sways between grief and anger. Despite all the work I've done. I mean, I've done, like I said, regular therapy, hypnotherapy. I've done EFT. I've done timeline therapy. I did quantum energy aura healing, many sessions with that, which that was probably one of the most powerful things I've ever done because it brought to light a lot of stuff that I had really suppressed. Going back to childhood, something that happened when I was in the womb. And because I was often told there's something between you and your mom. And I'm like, Mom and I are great. I don't know what you're talking about. We've always been great. But there was a trauma that happened to her while I was in the womb. And the woman who was clearing the energy actually knew how far along my mom was and how she felt. And so when I went, I'd never really talked to my mother about it. And I shared with her about it. She was like, yeah, I was about, I would say 6 or 7 months. She goes, and it was the most terrifying thing that ever happened to me. And I happened to be inside of her at the time. So at that point, I felt closer to my mom than I had ever felt. And it was just a relief to know, to kind of let go of that fear that everything's okay. But those are the things that come up that you just may not know about, may not know it's affecting you. Yeah, and I think a lot of it impacts the kind of relationships you've had. In this journey, as I went along, I got rid of the implants. They were toxic. But what's been really powerful is that it wasn't just about the implants. It was about anything toxic I was allowing into my life that wasn't serving me, that wasn't helping me to move forward, and the friendships, some of them, my friendships are amazing. Some of them were very toxic, and I allowed people to treat me certain ways that are very nice. And so in that, I had relationships that way, and then of course with food, I no longer drink alcohol because I liked my wine. Will I ever have a glass again? I don't know, but it'll be on my terms. And just like now with the people I meet, it's on my terms and whatever I know what will be healthy for me so that I can live my best life. And yeah, but the confidence that has come from that, I don't like the fact that I had to go through it. Part of me is sad about it, but the other part is incredibly grateful because I would never have come to the other side. I had always said that I felt like for the longest time I was stuck in a river, a raging river, stuck in the mud, and I couldn't cross. And I kept looking back, and everybody was having an amazing time, and I kept looking forward, and it was beautiful and peaceful, and I couldn't get there until one woman told me to lift my foot, and she said, now move it forward and put it down. And I just visualized it, and she's like, lift the other foot. She's like, start crossing the river. And slowly over time, that's what I started to do. do until I came to this other side. And it's not a perfect journey. There's always triggers that come up, but when you have the tools to know how to deal with it, it's a pretty powerful experience. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love how you tried a lot of different things. Like, I'm always talking about it on the podcast and talking to people that it's really important to explore, because healing is not linear. It's not a one size fits all. So it's up to you to try a lot of different things, till you can find that one thing or just a combination of a bunch that can help you get to, this deep sense of understanding and this deep sense of healing. So like you did all those different things and you were getting something out of each and every one of them. And a lot of people, I'm glad you touched on the part about your mom's, like the pregnancy, and people don't understand that connection, that connection right there of being, in womb and where what's that's coming, because it's all energy and it's all like a vibration that's going like, there. And it's funny because I didn't know that part with you from when we had our conversation, but it's like, similar, because that happened with, my mom almost died giving birth to me, and she was 16. And my grandfather told them, you just make sure that you save my daughter. So, which is also probably why I don't like my grandfather anyway, like amongst a bunch of other reasons. Yeah. I mean, that could be like a deeper part, in that sense. So she was under a lot of, stress, and just where she was out and like hanging out in the streets and stuff, and then also with my dad not being in my life and wasn't even claiming me when she was pregnant, that's stress that the mother goes through. And you as a child in there, that's that signal that is going to you. And it's just, there's really no way around some of those things. But until you really start looking at this healing as true inner work and exploring, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't think that cord, that connection has anything to do with anything, but it does.
It absolutely does. And, fortunately for me, my mom has always been amazing. And for her, the fear was coming from, my other siblings were in a situation where she was fearful for them that something was happening to them. And there was nothing she could do because she was pregnant with me. And so for her, it was terrifying. And yeah, but it's those kinds of things that I don't think people fully realize. And if you actually go deep enough to find them and deal with them, you find a sense of peace, which has led me to feeling much more confident about myself, much more brave, much less fearful. Yeah, it's been an awesome experience to go through. So
yeah. And I think even when you look at it, somebody could be like, oh, okay, well, you have breast implants. I mean, okay, that doesn't happen to everyone, and could kind of even look over it. But the bigger picture of it is the fact that you were lacking something internally, and you felt like if I did this to it, it's going to make me feel better. It's going to make me look good. It's going to make people want me. And this is what a lot of people tend to do. And I've done it, myself, just in different ways, where you look at external things to just validate yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's the bigger picture, where it's like, because you lack this, confidence in the self-esteem and other things that were going on, you felt like, if I put this into my body, it's going to make me a certain way, whatever the ways that you wanted to feel. But in actuality, your body was rejecting it because that's not what your body needed.
Right.
That's not what your body needed.
I think a lot of women do that. And I mean, if somebody wants to do something, you do you. But I think what's most important is, is it safe? Is it okay? And what's your reason for doing it? Like, if it's, and I told myself I did it for me, but why would I need to do that for me is what I had to go back and reflect upon. Like, what part of me needed to do that for me? And because I was like, oh, I'll fill out a dress better. I'll fill out a bikini better. But, instead now I look for dresses that look good on my body instead of altering my body to look good in a dress. And my appreciation for how it functions is much deeper because it didn't function for a long time. But yeah, I think when we go down a road of so much in chemicals and treatments and things that just maybe for the right now make you feel great, later on there could be repercussions for it. And to take a deeper look as to why you're doing it and if you really have to do it, it's so important. And then coming to realize to do things in a healthy way to improve yourself, it's fabulous because that's treating yourself well. But to go down the other path, it's just you're better off trying to figure out and going in deep as to why you need to do that, what's wrong that you're not accepting of yourself.
Absolutely. So what are you doing now? Like, how are you helping other people? Because I know that you are. You go through a powerful experience like this. I'm sorry. I personally just feels like it ends up being almost like a good responsibility though, to share your story and to share it in order to help other people because of the experience that you went through. And of course, we don't want other people going, through that. So how can, we be of service when we share these things? So I would love for you to share with the listener.
And yeah, I'm so glad you asked me that question because for me, I've always been, for the longest time, probably since I was 40, I've gone out seeking ways to help people through nonprofits, Meals on Wheels in the Islands, Habitat for Humanity Coming Back to the state, Alpha House of Pinellas, and different ways like that I had received an award from Alpha House for my journey to health after I explanted. And when I was writing my speech, that's when I realized my biggest lesson was that I had lacked confidence, and I had stated that I wanted women to love themselves just as they are, and I was going to find a way to help with this. And so I took it upon myself. The first step was when I went to go find a bra, couldn't find one. I cried. The big thing was, we don't have your size, dear. I'm like, I'm a grown woman. How can I not be worthy of a bra? And I think in talking with a lot of women, they feel this way. So I went to New York City, went to a trade show, started a company now called Pretty Lovely You, and I have a wide variety of bras for the itty bitties. And there's lace and satin, and there's basic t-shirt bras, there's bralettes, lots of colors, and so that women can actually feel like they're worthwhile. So, and I've also on my page dedicated part of it to awareness for breast implant illness. I offer free virtual fittings for women if they feel they need them, because it can be intimidating going into a store and then to only find out they don't have your bra size. And wearing the right size bra is super important, and the right type of bra for your body is important, because then you'll feel so much better in it. Instead of saying you don't like your body because bras don't fit, you find the right one to fit your body, and it feels pretty darn amazing. And so I've done that, and it's going well. I'm really excited. And what I love most is being able to get on calls with women and talk to them about, like, we talk about our journeys, or we talk about things that have gone on in their lives that have made them feel bad and how we can overcome it, which then led me to, I've just launched a coaching program. It's an 8-week group program called Confidently You for women. And it's all about self-awareness, befriending negative self-talk, learning what tools work well to not go down the negative trap of thinking poorly about yourself and what really works. But it's a real deep dive into self-awareness. And so it's 8 weeks, which sounds like a lot, but when I was doing it, I was like, I could actually do 12, but I've got to cut it back to 8. And yeah, so I'm hoping, whether it's women who have had implants and are explanting or have explanted, or women who are looking to explant and they're not sure how they're going to accept themselves, or women who just don't feel good about themselves. I really want to talk to the women who haven't done anything necessarily but are contemplating it, so that they don't go down the road I went down. So they don't, end up in a financial disaster, a health disaster with no life. Your career comes to a screeching halt. I don't want that for somebody else. I want women to live their best lives, with a big smile on their face most days. It can't be every day. It'd be great if it could. But, to know that they're going to have triggers, to know how to overcome them, and feel good when they walk into a room, not thinking other people are talking about them. And if they are, not caring if they do. That's what I want for other women. And so my hope is that this program will do well, and I could end up doing retreats with it also. So I have some goals.
I could totally see that. The self-love, self-care, like retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I look at it 2 things. Experience is the greatest teacher, and we teach what we most need to learn. Okay?
We do.
So, and I love that you've had that experience. It was a powerful experience for yourself. They can now, help other people and just kind of, guide them along through this. Self-awareness is key. Sometimes you can just be walking around here on this detour and have no idea you're on a detour. None at all. So I love that you know, with the bras, first of all, that's just dope. That's just dope itself. Like, I'm like, oh, really? Oh, so you don't have a bet. I'm going to create it. I love that. That is like my thing. Like, oh, you said what? Oh, you know what? Never mind. Don't even worry about it. I got it. I'm going to create that now because I know I'm not the only one. So I love that. And I love the names too. And then, you know, to go into the coaching to really just like work with people and create that safe space for them to dive in and really to be okay with saying, I lack confidence. I don't like my body. I don't like myself. Like, and to just be okay with admitting that, right? Being okay with admitting that, and then you're opening yourself up for that deeper healing to really understand where is that coming from and saying that can change. So I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Super, you know, supportive of that. I'm going to make sure for like all the listeners, I'm going to have all of her contact information and, you know, everything as far as about the coaching is all going to be in the show notes to make it easier. And you guys make sure you go and follow her on Instagram. And then from there, I guess they can probably connect to, because you have a Facebook group, right?
I do have a Facebook group. It's Confidently You After BII. And it's not just for women who have had breast implant illness. There's a lot of women on there who, you know, never had implants, let alone explanted, but they are looking to raise their awareness on how to be more confident and feel better about themselves, and also be part of a private group where, you know, questions are sometimes asked, and it's okay to say, I just don't like my body right now, or I don't like who I am right now. But also it's a very uplifting place. There's no negativity, and, you know, the women are there for each other, which is really, really nice.
Oh, I love that. I mean, and personally with myself, like recently I was going through that with my stomach, and I was like, I'm going to be honest. I'm like, I don't like this. I'm not happy with this, you know? And then from there, because you want to be honest with how you feel about yourself, right? We don't want to be in denial, because in that we won't open ourselves up to understanding more. So I was like, I don't like this and I'm not happy with it. And then I sat with that for a little bit, and then I said, whatever it is that I'm holding on to and storing in my stomach that is no longer serving me, I'm ready to release it. And then I kept saying that, and I'll put my hand on my stomach, and yes, you know, you can exercise and you can do all those physical things, because I do believe they all go together, but I know that I'm storing some things in this area, which is why I haven't been able to, it hasn't changed, which means I'm holding on to something that I don't need.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to be honest with myself and say, I don't like this. No, this is not cute. This is not good. And then sit with it and then say, okay, whatever I'm holding on to, because I know that there's something that I'm holding on to. And at that point, it's just to allow it to come up into, you know, certain experiences or something someone may say, or I might have a dream or a certain feeling, but just to let those things, because I'm saying, look, I know it's here and I know it's not serving me any good, and I'm ready to release it. Yeah. So to be around other people, being led by someone such as yourself, I think that's a beautiful thing. So I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a powerful journey. And like I said, there's no way. I have my moments. We all have our moments with it. It doesn't stop, but that's why it's a journey. There's no set date of, okay, I'm confident. I'm good. No. It'd be nice.
Girl, I'm sometimes gonna be like, I wish, but I know it's gonna continue. Healing is a lifelong thing. It's just, so like you said in the beginning, it's just you get yourself to a point where you have these tools. So when things like the triggers, I get excited about triggers now, because I know that that's something, that's my invitation to look within and say, oh man, thought I was over that. Guess I was wrong. So let me dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. And you know, and it could be triggers from the past, or it could be something that, you know, somebody just says to you, and it's something new that's never been said to you before, and it just throws you off. And that's okay. Like you said, it's your opportunity to really take a look at it, figure out why that's affecting you the way it does, and start to change it and start to change the patterns. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And thank you for, like, you know, the experience you had, and not letting that define like who you are and just stop you from moving forward in life. But not only are you moving forward in life, but you're helping people along the way. And I have so much respect for you for that.
Thank you. Yeah. And I say everything comes together as it's supposed to, because I'm in school as well. And right now I'm in the middle of sociology classes, and it's all about your mind, and it's all about, you know, people. And I'm like, there couldn't have been a better class for me to take right now than this.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's been great. And the women I meet are just awesome. I mean, every single one of them. So yeah. So I'm looking forward to meeting even more women, because not only do I hope I can help them, but I know they'll help me as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you again.
Thank you. And yeah, I really appreciate you having me on and talking about this and allowing me to share with everybody. I'm beyond appreciative.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to #certified. If anything resonated with you, I would love to continue the conversation. You can follow me on Instagram at @itistisha. And if you want to be a part of the #certified tribe, you can join my Facebook group by going to the search tab and putting in #certified. My website is conversationswithtisha.com. As always, have a great one on purpose. Love you.